What's up, everybody, and welcome to Weekday Wagers live on our Weekday Wagers YouTube channel. If you're watching over on socials, join us here. We're having a lot of fun right here on our YouTube channel with the best chat in the business, and that is no smoke. But let's go ahead and look at how the Seahawks did. Those Seahawks just demolished the Patriots, and it was a game, 29-13, where the Seahawks, the public favorite, won. The spread, the Seahawks, public favorite, that won too. The under on the game, public favorite, won as well. It was all public at this point. And I think the books, I don't know the number, but I believe that they got crushed pretty well, because when the public bets, it usually sticks together and it's pretty strong. Usually the public's wrong. And so I went against them, and I thought the Patriots would show up, but no. That Seahawks defense was something not to be messed with. But let's look at how we did as a whole on a Friday. And a lot of these that we're looking at, 2-1 for Robbie, 1-2 for Mark, and me, and 2-1. So we come out even, definitely profit from a Friday show. But I looked at mine. Mine was Duke was up by 15 at one point, and they ended up losing the game, which was weird. And then the two Super Bowl bets I won. I know the other guys, split along the way, but in the end of the day, the Super Bowl was fun. We hit some prop bets and we hit some player bets. And so it was definitely a good time. We had a lot more fun than Drake May did, for sure, as he was getting sacked over and over again. But let's go ahead and bring in the man who's going to tackle this Monday show with me. What up, Marky Model?
DG, what a weekend, right? It's just we got Olympics going on. Real quickly, congratulations to the U.S. mixed doubles curling team from Duluth, Minnesota, who are now curling in the gold medal match that takes place tomorrow. So hats off to them. Listen, there's just a lot going on. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and as Boogie says, like yesterday, the props, weren't bad, but you just had to fade away, the big stars, JSN and Diggs, which I always would do. And I even thought about taking the under on both guys. I stayed away. I did love, Matt Collins, as well as I played Kenneth Walker, who was the MVP. And shout out to him, Kenneth Walker. He's repping the 901 from Memphis, Tennessee. Grew up here, not too far away from me. But he's a kid that honestly in 2018 was told he would never play football again after having some issues within his lungs, some blood clots. Like literally they had to set him down and say, you're done. Like this is never happening again. And now going to Wake Forest, going to Michigan State. And when they asked him to put the name up, where he's from, who's he rep, and it was Memphis, Tennessee. So shout out to him for winning that. It's the first Tennessee person ever to win the MVP Super Bowl, which is pretty cool.
It is. And you know what? Kudos to them giving it and recognizing what a hell of a game he had against the Patriots. And I feel all too often whoever wins the Super Bowl, that quarterback is going to get the MVP. It's kind of like just a pass through. Yeah. Here's your MVP thing. So a lot of respect to the decision makers to give Walker that. It was so well deserved.
It should have been the kicker, Jason Myers. Let's just be honest.
It could have very easily been. No,
definitely. He would have been the next. Besides the whole defense, I would definitely have looked at Michael Myers. But Cheesy's with you on your USA curling. What a sweat.
Yeah, it came down to the last throw. And they won by one. So
yeah, and Boom Boom's here. He said he made over 5 units live betting punts every drive. There was 15 total punts in that game.
It was insane, right? The over 7.5 cashed in the first half. I mean, they had like 5 in the first quarter. There were so many times I thought one of those was going to actually end up squeaking by and go for that touchback, and I was like, damn. But
No doubt.
yeah, that was the first. It was a lot of fun watching the punter props.
Yeah, that they're always going crazy. Real quick, Rick Funcan says Switzerland women's hockey plus 5.5 today. Is that a real like puck line number? Like five
Yeah.
and a half?
Well, I think because Switzerland is taking on, and let me just double check real quick. They're taking on the United States, and the United States is just a juggernaut. This is going to be a gold medal matchup between the U.S. and the Canadian team. Switzerland is sneaky good. I really like that look, Rick, because I think that right now the U.S. women's team, they've got the first couple games under their belt. Now it's
Mhm.
let's go out and win, advance, stay healthy. We don't have to, blow teams out. There's no extra points, or you're not advancing because of goal differential here. So
Yeah.
I like that look.
All right. Well, go ahead and all the Olympic bets. I don't think we're going to have them, but we would love if you found a way to bring them into the show, especially if you're something you're watching and paying attention to. If it is hockey, if it is curling, I'd love to be able to hit on it as much as we can. There's a lot that I want to get into before we get to our bets. The last thing I will say about this, the last and only probably thing I'll say is thank you for hanging out. There's a lot of you that watch the morning show with Coach and Company. I hosted this morning. It's a lot of fun always hosting. It's a lot of fun just being on the show. But a lot of you, the same names come over from that show in the morning, come over in the afternoon to us, represent both, love both. And I can't thank you enough for being a part of our lives. Double duty. Yeah, double duty for you as well. But it's time for our bets. We're going to get off, as always, with our picks. And Mark, you're first. What you got?
All right. Well, listen, I'm sticking with the Philadelphia 76ers here simply because I know that they stumbled their last outing out in LA. And this is a spot that lines up really clean, especially for Philadelphia. The Sixers, like I said, they took a brief stumble in LA. They responded exactly how you would want them to with the win over in Phoenix. And now they get to go to Portland to close out this West Coast trip. And when you're sitting on 3 wins in 4 games already, this is the type of game where good teams really handle their business in. Philly, they've been solid away from home all season. They've already had success against Portland this season. And most importantly, they're coming in relatively healthy. Outside of Paul George, this rotation is intact, and that matters a lot when you're laying a short number on the road. On the other side, Portland is still dealing with major issues. They can't get players back off the IR. The All-Star break is right around the corner, and there's no urgency to rush any of their ailing players back in. So, yes, I do think when you look at how both teams are coming into this game, Philly is the one that you're laying the 3.5 with.
I'm going to go with Isaiah Collier here. We're going to go over the 14.5 points. It's that even money here at plus 100. And I believe this line is going to continue to move. Isaiah Collier, you might not know this, but he plays for the Utah Jazz. Now, outside of their despicable fourth quarter the other day, it was Saturday night, and I believe they were playing the Orlando Magic. They were up by like 10 and decided, you know what? We don't need to play our starters the rest of the game. And they let the Orlando Magic come back and win by 3. Okay, so what did I do? I looked who played the entire game. So no matter if they're going to pull Jaren Jackson, Laurie Marketing, and friends, one of the friends isn't Isaiah Collier. He played majority of the game because he's a guy that's just not that good. Let's just be honest. But he can score. Over the last 4 games, he's cleared this number. In the last 4 games, he's averaging 20 points. And so I like a kid who's going to stay on the floor no matter if Utah Jazz are going to tank in public where we can all see them or they're not. Either way, they play Miami tonight, who isn't great on their point guards or honestly guarding the ball, on ball guarding. And so at that point, I like Isaiah Collier to get us some points today. He might dish the rock, but I think he's still going to get some points. And so that's where we're going to stand on Isaiah Collier. Mark, I got to ask you though, did you see any of that the other day from Utah? Because that was disgusting.
Yeah, it's really well. You know what? So I've heard 2 different schools of thought on this, and I tend to fall in one particular one that there's advantages to be had here. I think if the NBA is going to allow teams to absolutely throw away games to tank their season this far out from the end of the year,
Yeah.
with no repercussion, it's going to happen, and we're going to start seeing it more and more, right? Utah Jazz, Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers season is on the verge of collapse. They're 2 or 3 games away from starting to tank. The Memphis Grizzlies, I mean, no offense, they're
taking.
They're done. Everybody's now in the position for draft position instead of playing competitive basketball. I think there's some real benefits to be had there. Start playing team totals, right? If a team's tanking, they're not trying to score. Right. That's a great way to approach the NBA in an environment where there's so much ambiguity about what a team is going to be doing. Yeah. We can look at the schedule and kind of figure out which teams are doing what and adjust accordingly.
And that's what I almost did with that same game with Jaren Jackson Jr. as well as Lauri Markkanen. Unfortunately, their lines aren't crazy high because that's the potential. They could not have, they could not play. Plus, Jaren, we don't know if he's Jekyll or Hyde that day, so we don't know if he's going to be scoring. Right. This new team, I want to take that all out, and so that's why I targeted that for a reason. And like Kevin KC is saying here, load management, random blowouts. Like it's hard to bet the NBA. He's moving to soccer. Okay, well, to your point, I think there's a way to target this because we know it's happening. I think there's a way to target it and say, hey, you know what? I can find different bets for different ways, and I can honestly fade the teams that are going to tank because down the stretch, they're probably not playing there in normal minutes if it's a good team or a team they're equal with. It's those games where they end up playing everybody because they know that there's impossible to lose. So they're just going to play everybody, go ahead and get a good blowout win and feel good. That way the next time they don't have to play anybody.
Right. And this has always happened, right? I mean, bad teams, especially as soon as the draft position became the benefit of losing games, all of a sudden it was the race to that number 1 spot in the draft. And I just think that if that's the environment we're living in and it's rampant, and not just rampant, it's blatant. Right. I mean, what Utah did in the fourth quarter is absolutely criminal. As far as it goes against everything about professional sports. You're competitive. You're basically setting role models and examples for how the game should be played, and you're quitting. It's just it's awful all the way around. That being said, if I can make money off of a team's philosophy to get that number 1 draft pick, you can damn well bet I will be fading the Utah Jazz, Indiana Pacers, the Memphis Grizzlies, and more teams as they start to have their seasons cascade and fail.
Yeah, and some teams just aren't good enough, honestly, that no matter what, they're tanking, but they don't have to do it so in your face. We're going to continue to see that for sure with the Utah Jazz. The last thing I want to say to it before we transition to talking and recapping the Super Bowl, because I know it's what a lot of people want to hit on. I'm looking at the way this tanking thing is all going, and it's been happening for years. And this is usually the main sport that it happens in the NBA. But like, how do you fix it? And so my thoughts is a lot of ways. What they're doing is they're evening out the odds to get you that extra pick. And so my thought is do like 2 tiers, maybe 3 tiers in the bottom teams that are not actually making, the playoffs. And so if you did that, you would have less teams worried about tanking because they would fall in one of those tiers, which really, if there's only 3 tiers, that gives everybody pretty close to the same odds to get, the lottery ball. And so you could go from 8th to 1st much easier. And so it wouldn't, make you want to tank as much. And so if a team comes in 8th, they have just a little bit less odds than the team that comes in the bottom 5, right? And so you do, the bottom 5, then the next 5, and then the next, whatever the number that is. Like at that point, I think it's more even. You won't have teams trying to get down to those bottom 2 or 3 spots because those are the best odds. I think you just move that bottom tier out a little bit more.
And I disagree. I think as long as there's a chance for a team to maneuver a draft position based on the number of wins, it would only get more and more blatant with the tanking. Listen, the NBA is big enough, it's large enough that they're managing now 2 different leagues, right? The NBA and the D League.
G League. It used to be the D League.
It used to be the D League.
Now it's the Gatorade League.
Whatever. Listen, It is a great time. You want to incentivize teams not to tank and to show up and play competitively every single night of every single game of the season. Start regulating these teams.
Mm.
You want to fall and you don't hit the tier to be there, that's fine. Because if you're if you're the bottom two teams, you're now in the G League. The top two teams from the G League can come up, and they're up there for a year. It works.
That's impossible.
I know it's impossible, but it's you know what? It's not impossible because it does work. It works over in Europe with all the soccer teams. So it does work. And they have structured leagues that are set up specifically for that. So it does work. It's whether or not they would implement it here.
Gotcha.
But I will say that the product that they're putting out on the court each night, yes, Utah Jazz, I'm talking about you, absolutely sucks.
Well, as Rick says, Utah's covered the last 4 games in a row, all on the road, which is crazy that they could have won all those. But they just didn't try.
No, they literally should have won all 4 of those outright.
Right, for sure. And I look at that game, in all honesty, and it's crazy and weird that they lost that. But in the end of the day, these G League teams are all, they definitely don't get enough rest.
Nate says the NBA doesn't get enough rest.
These G League teams are the younger players and all owned by the major clubs, and so it would be one of their younger clubs hopping in, which they already have players on that. It just wouldn't work for that. But maybe they can figure out a different system, a different league, maybe a 2-tier league. There's ways around it. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Think of it this way. If you're a team that gets regulated, your contracts that you had at the NBA level are all now regulated down to contracts at the G League level. You think these players would allow their teams to get regulated?
Yeah.
Never in a million years. They would sell out every single night to make sure that they still had those paychecks. That's how you stop this.
All right. Well, I do love it, and I'm glad that we get to talk some NBA. I rarely get to anymore.
How do I get on that committee?
Boogie's on Scoot Henderson going over his 4.5 assists at plus 120. That's on DraftKings, and Desmond Bain over 22.5 points and assists at minus 109. Both good odds there, both good looks. And so I like Scoot Henderson. He's coming back. I think he was injured. I believe Scoot Henderson's working his way back, but 5 assists for him. The only thing that worries me about him is like him getting back and he's wanting to like shoot the rock, man. Like he's wanting to, instead of dishing it, he's like, let me feel it. Let me shoot it. But you know what? I believe you, but Boogie is one of the best when it comes to especially his NBA. He's one of my NBA brethren.
It's relegated, not regulated.
What an idiot. What
Regulators
an idiot.
Post. Regulators Post.
And this is a shout out to Japan for hanging out with us right here. He's like, wake me up when the NBA get to the playoffs. I agree. But we're going to enjoy ourselves until then. But let's talk about the NFL and the Super Bowl that happened. All right. I want to let you pick. You want to talk about the game or the halftime show first?
Let's go with the game first because I got to get something off my chest.
Oh.
First of all, Sam Darnold played a hell of a football game. The Seattle Seahawks played a tremendous football game on both sides of the ball and absolutely left no doubt in my mind or in anybody's mind, should have been, that they were the Super Bowl champions of this year, that they were the best team in the league this year. Congratulations to the Seahawks. They had a phenomenal year. I'm over people saying, well, Sam Darnold had a horrible game. He didn't have a horrible game. The coach saved Sam Darnold from himself. No, he didn't. Sam Darnold was having and put together a hell of a season all year long. Get over it. The whole seeing ghost things, he's moved beyond it. You need to as well.
Wow. I feel like you're talking to people out there in the TV world. Don't look him dead in the eye right now. Don't look me dead in the eye either. All right. Well, I looked at Sam Darnold, 202 passing yards. So he had a TD and he's only sacked once. Is that more about the regular season and the other games of the playoffs that you're talking about and referring to than the actual Super Bowl game? Because in that game, he didn't do anything to hurt himself, but he didn't do anything really to win the game. He just was a game manager in a sense.
What more do you want from your quarterback? If you're a team that is consistently having your quarterback, i.e., Josh Allen, and where were they during the Super Bowl?
The crib.
You cannot have a quarterback. Let me rephrase that. You can have a quarterback that can put the game on his shoulders and carry that team to a victory. It doesn't have a shelf life that's going to last you very long. Sam Darnold is a game management specialist. That's exactly what he has done all season long. And to the coaching staff of the Seattle Seahawks, to their credit, they put together a masterful game plan. And to not have any mistakes. Look, Sam Darnold did what he was supposed to do to go out and win that football game. Period. Hard stop.
Okay. Hard stop. I like this. This is the kid lingo these days. Robbie said, I bet New England wish they had a game manager.
Right.
I think opposite, actually. I think that New England needed more than a game manager, because I think that's what Drake May is. I think New England wish they had one of those electric, awesome quarterbacks, because then you wouldn't have been able to get him just literally nobody open, just getting bum rushed. What do you do at that point? Because I think Drake May is just a game manager. I think Drake May and Sam Darnold are the exact same guy.
The difference being, one had an offensive line that was buying him time and opening holes for. I thought the way Kenneth Walker was running the ball was spectacular. Right. He literally stopped, took like a half-second beat, and then waited for the hole to open up and punched through the hole.
Yeah.
Their offensive line really were the ones who dictated that game for the Seahawks. I think if New England had an offensive line that would didn't have Drake May getting pressured on every other, drop back and just absolutely pummeled, that would have been a lot closer game. But unfortunately, they got out. Seattle's defense just absolutely beat the hell out of them.
Who had the most rushing yards for New England? Do you know?
Was it Drake May?
Drake May at 37. How many combined rushing yards for the running backs did New England have?
Oh, I don't know. It was like combined between Stevenson
and Travion Henderson. If you had to guess.
32.
42. Okay. Crazy though. Like, that's the thing is like there was nothing happening on offense for the New England Patriots. They could not get any run game going. And so at that point, they're putting Drake May into a spot where he wasn't comfortable. And that's what the Seattle Seahawks did, is they were getting into the backfield. At that point, you're talking about having to win one-on-ones. I don't think Stephon Diggs can do that much anymore. He's just not the same player he was. Right. And honestly, Mac Hollins, like, he didn't do anything until close to the end of the game where he had that big catch for the touchdown. But outside of that, like, he's probably the only one that did, because he has the size to be able to go up and get balls if need be. And so I'm with all of that. That's just how the Patriots were. But we can go ahead and go into that question with the Seahawks.
Well, I'll get to that. But
Sam Darnold. Okay, yeah. I like it.
So Darnold did a great job getting the Seahawks in the field goal range, right? Yes. And if the Seahawks defense didn't do what they did against the Patriots, had the Patriots been able to score a touchdown in the first half, I think that the dynamic of that game would have entirely 100%. Changed. New England got their ass handed to them in the first half by that Seattle defense, and they didn't have an answer for it. And I think that, yes, he got them into field goal range, and New England's defense kept them out of the end zone. They did what they had to do to limit the damage.
Yeah.
The offense just wasn't effective against Seattle.
Yeah, and that's what it was. And that's Josh saying, like, New England just outplayed Seattle. Like, it just what it is. Like, when you get punched in the mouth, sometimes the game just goes bad. But what if the Patriots get the ball in the first at that point, and they end up scoring a touchdown within the first two drives? That entire game could flip because the mojo's going a different way. But you're driving down, as Seattle was, and just getting in the field goal range, kicking it, taking your points, taking your points. Consistently, they were honestly able to control the game because they were scoring, but the game wasn't being flipped too much with field position. And so realistically, Drake May, in my opinion, he's just a game manager at this point. He might be electric as he gets older and much more wiser, but it's hard to play quarterback in the NFL. Ask any of these guys because they probably all do see ghosts, as Boo Boo's saying. It's just like, how can you get out of that rut? How can you get pulled from that? Because it's tough when you're seeing those freak athletes running at you, wanting to split you in half. It's a little scary, and you don't really know because you're in a helmet with a limited vision. It's very tough. If nobody has been in a helmet and seen it, it open your eyes completely to what you actually can see, hear, and feel.
Oh, 100%. And it's the speed at which today's game moves. There's so much dependency on instinct and
Yeah.
just having a feel. So do I think Drake May can eventually develop that? 100%. Yeah, I agree. And I think that he's going to be the next generation of very, very good quarterbacks in the NFL.
All right, let's go to the question to get out of the Super Bowl. One question on each side of the ball. Patriots, what do they need to do to get back to this position to where they're at? Obviously going to the Super Bowl, but being competitive, championship contender. What do the Patriots need to do moving forward?
Offense, plain and simple, pure and simple. That offense cannot get manhandled the way that it did against a team like the Seahawks. You have to be able to move the ball. You have to have a passing game. You have to have an offensive line. I think the offensive line, if there was a priority, offensive line is first and foremost. How do you bulk up and get that and improve on an offensive line so that you can run the ball? You can buy your quarterback time to pass the ball. That's priority number one.
And what I would do for them outside of the line, I would try to go get a possession receiver. And I think that they were hoping to get that with Stephon Diggs, but a possession receiver, somebody that can get in and out of the slot and get those check downs alongside of Ramondre Stevenson, Travion Henderson, but somebody that can move the sticks, right? Somebody that can get you some momentum. I don't think they had that. And I think that's what they struggled with. And so in the end of the day, the Patriots come up short. They looked a little stale. Might have been more of the Seattle side doing that to them. But let's stay on Seattle now, because what do they need to do? And one of the biggest questions that Boogie brings up is, will they re-sign Kenneth Walker, who is the Super Bowl MVP?
I think you have to. And I think the focus has to be looking beyond Sam Darnold now. What is that next step for the Seahawks, and being able to come up with a plan to ease into that transition? I'm not saying Sam Darnold needs to retire or anything like that, but Sam Darnold is also at an age where injuries can happen.
Yeah.
And they happen more frequently. We saw there was a big question about his oblique being injured, right, going into these playoffs. So I think that you have to look at what's beyond this team as it is put together right now. Kenneth Walker getting re-signed has to happen. Yeah. It's a must. But I think that you need to work on mentoring and bringing up a quarterback ready to fill Sam Darnold's shoes,
right,
as well as getting some receiver help. Cooper Kupp is
he's getting up there.
Yeah. To your point, he's like Stephon Diggs, right? You're writing so much on the name, but the performance and what you're able to do now just doesn't fit.
Yeah, and then they didn't JSN. Like, he is the guy that can do everything for them. They didn't even need him. Patriots were able to shut him down enough that they didn't even really have to worry about him. It was the run game where they just got dominated in the trenches. But as Boom Boom saying right here, imagine how DK Metcalf feels getting sent away, traded away. And now it's JSN's show. He's the guy that was the young guy, the young up and coming guy. And now DK Metcalf goes after the Steelers and just falls on his face. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
But I feel for him a little bit.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's always that damn, I got traded off of Super Bowl team. I missed my chance. But I do think that DK wasn't happy in Seattle either. There was always that, I think that he suffers from what a lot of wide receivers suffer from is throw me the damn ball syndrome.
Right. If not, I'll punch you in the face.
Right. Just you better call him DK. Don't use his full name.
Right. I don't even know what it is at this point. All right. Well, as Sky Juhadi here, as everyone's here, hit the like button. We would appreciate that. But let's end on the halftime show. There is no light the lamp because there is no lamp to light right now. And I didn't know that. I was just like asking the questions for the graphic. And it's not here because there is no hockey going on.
Well,
and
there will be in about 10 minutes, the U.S. women's.
There you go. We might eventually move over to doing some kind of college basketball lamp of some sort, or maybe an NBA lamp or what. I don't know what we're going to do. I haven't thought about it because I didn't know that we were without hockey. So we'll figure something out. I know it's on. I know it's off right now, but I just thought there was something happening where we could do that. But unfortunately, it's not quick enough.
All right,
we'll be back. Whatever.
We'll get it.
You know what? Sorry, I'm not a hockey guy. I'm just a hockey capper, one of the best that there is. All right, let's talk about the halftime show, Bad Bunny, and everybody. It's very much polarizing. We'll say. I think it's a good word to use. And I will say this before we kind of get started. Bad Bunny, I enjoy the energy Bad Bunny brings. I love, honestly, when he comes back to WWE and is that guy, he brings that machismo. I don't even know if that's the right word, but he just brings something different. I enjoy that part of it. But I have to ask, my God, was that a hit or a miss on the halftime? And I'm talking about just the halftime show. Was it a hit or a miss?
I think it was a huge hit, specifically for the NFL.
Really?
Huge hit. And I'll tell you why. You have to keep this in context of what the NFL's vision is. There's a reason they're playing football games in Brazil. There's a reason they're playing football games in Germany, in England. They have a global reach. Bad Bunny is the #1 global artist when it comes to Latin music. This guy's reach is huge. So yes, on the NFL's largest stage, it makes all the sense in the world, whether you like Bad Bunny's music or not.
Right.
And I'm not saying that this was the best halftime show ever. That's not what I'm saying at all. Listen to what I'm saying. It was the best move for the NFL from a business standpoint because you are expanding that reach, and Bad Bunny is the vehicle that helps you get there.
Man, I just could not disagree more. Okay, the idea, what you're speaking on, rings true. I agree. I think the idea of landing Bad Bunny and him having, one of the #1 guys and all that, I think the eyeballs were there. I think the conversations around it were there. But I think that the performance, the halftime show, to what I'm speaking about, I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about the halftime show. I watched all of them back until 1993, okay? Me and my daughter watched this one together, and she looked at me and goes, that was bad. Like, the reason I say that, and one, she doesn't speak Spanish, neither do I. And so at that point, we were watching an American football game, which this is the most American sport, right? Maybe not, maybe NASCAR. I don't know. But this is the most American sport, right? And so at that point, the first half, we're in English. The halftime comes and it's all Spanish. And then we go back to English. The problem with the middle part is I think it was produced bad. There should have been some English. Then you have, obviously some Spanish. And you can go back and forth in that and actually do something that's kind of interlocking, right? Because if you want to talk about together, we love, US, great, fine. And I'm okay with the people. It's not nothing to do with like race or anything like that. It's about the performance. It just was dead to me because I don't know what's going on. And so at that point, give me something, like give me some English, give me some Spanish, like explain it to me, like what's going on so I can be involved, because I wasn't involved and I'm just guessing at this point, just like the entire internet. They think this kid that he handed a Grammy to was a certain kid, but it wasn't. They think that people are on the light poles because we're in Levi Stadium and that wasn't it. And all this stuff, it's a guessing game. And so at that point, I need something. And so that's why it's a miss. People want to say it was awesome, but it just was a miss because I could not get bought in. And they didn't even play the hits. I need Ricky Martin playing "Living La Vida Loca." Like, give me that. I know that song.
That's exactly what Mr.
Yes, see? Why? I just need that. That's all. I get the idea behind it. No race involved. Like, it has nothing to do with that. I'm talking about the performance because this was a TV video. If you looked at all the if there's a lot of videos that are going around from people inside the stadium, they couldn't see anything. So it wasn't a performance. It wasn't. It was a TV video. And because of that, why not do this back in Puerto Rico and do it there in the homeland and don't even come to the Super Bowl? Because at that point, it's just on video anyway, because that's all they cater to, not the fans in attendance. They cater to the video.
Yeah. So to that point, I 100% agree. The medium that was being used to put together a halftime show got lost on it being a halftime stadium show.
Yeah.
It became more of trying to be a theatrical production of something that would have landed harder if people kind of understood what the whole production was about, instead of trying to watch it going, wait a minute, why?
Right. Yeah.
What's happening?
I don't know where to start. And as Kegan KC's saying, not to cut you off, devil's advocate here, take it as an opportunity to learn something new. I agree. But it's a halftime show. Like, if we want to talk about, let's take the time and learn about, fine. But this is about the halftime show. This isn't about like breaking down barriers and doing different things. Like, you can have your subtle stuff inside of it. I'm great with that. Like, bring America together. But it was all Spanish, and I'm still don't know how to look at this, because I can't go back and say, hey, I can look at it and understand it or put the translation on, because from my understanding, it wasn't great. It wasn't great Spanish either. And so because of that, like, the true Spanish, it's broken. And so how do I learn? I don't know what to learn.
It was good Spanish, I can tell you that. It was it might not have come across your teleprompter, the full translations coming
Right.
across. But I will say this. I think that what the NFL did is absolutely incredible, because what's happening? Everybody's talking about it. So whether you liked it or you didn't like it, or you were confused and went, what the hell did I just see? At the end of the day, it pushed a boundary, it pushed a limit. I think when they go back and they have to look at this for next year, somebody's got to have a voice in the room to say, listen, from a halftime production standpoint, maybe that wasn't our best foot forward.
Yeah.
I think the global reach that they tried to attain and that they were shooting for, I think hit the mark 100%. That they were right on target, especially for that global reach.
I think that the idea hit. I don't think it was performed well enough, because not everybody, because it left a whole crowd kind of like, there's nothing, like, we're still like asking and reaching for something. There's nothing we can do to it. So I get the idea, but I still think the performance as a whole fell flat. So I don't know. We'll see. But
Scotty wants to know if Taylor Swift would ever do a halftime show.
She will at some point. All right.
It'll be Taylor Kelsey.
For sure. All right. So it is what it is at that point. So as you're saying, like, who is the target audience? That's the issue. And I'm telling you, like, I know target audience is a business term. I know that, we know that from this brand, from the show. Like, who is our target audience? We know who that is, just like the NFL knows who that is. They're trying to grow that, they're trying to grow that name as a whole. And whether this is to the point or not, I just think it's like, I think that they were going for the target audience, and I think that they're trying to broaden. But unfortunately, I don't think that they got what they wanted, because it was all Spanish. I think in the end of the day, this could have been executed perfectly if you'd given a little English, a little Spanish, bring it all together, shape it, bring out some people and all that. But in the end of the day, they're just the push to go global is the push to go global. They don't care who they're going to step on, because in the end of the day, they're going to have us American football fans no matter what.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Ricky Martin part of a Super Bowl halftime show
He
already?
was. He
Yeah.
was.
And so, I mean, there is a way that they could have done it to where it was more inclusive of a language that crossed
I
over
agree.
to
I
all
agree.
those markets, and kept people a little more engaged. I think it's right. There's a reason that I don't watch foreign films in a different
Right.
language unless they have subtitles,
Yeah.
or they're dubbed in English. Because I don't understand it.
Yeah.
So to your point, I agree with that 100%. But I do think that from a global standpoint, the NFL really did take a step forward in improving its brand globally.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's probably what they wanted to do. Let's just be honest. And it might have been a miss for me. It might have been one of the worst ever. But I just wish it would have been some, give and take. Like because I actually enjoy the half. I did a freaking 2 different shorts on it for God's sakes. I watched over like many, many hours watching all the halftime shows because I enjoy it. And I'm not a music guy, but I enjoy the halftime because it's the show, right? It's just the show of it all and it's fun and it's supposed to be performative and it's supposed to be a good time. And that's what I enjoyed. And I thought Bad Bunny because I've seen him in WWE. I've seen how he comes out to the ring, how that crowd goes nuts. I wanted that. And then the end of the day, I didn't get it. So maybe that's just me, but it's not about race. And I hate that everything turns back to that because I understand race. I see color. I get it. I understand both sides of it. But in the end of the day, like it can't always go back to that. So please, if that's you and you think that way, let's come together. Let's think differently. Let's think about, hey, maybe some things are very surface level. I am very surface level. And so I can see it for the performance it is. It just didn't hit. And I hate it. In the day, we move on. But I thought we wanted to hit on. I thought it'd be interesting to kind of go back and forth and look at it.
I was just going to say, and for you and I to be able to have a dialogue,
Yeah.
and to be able to discuss this and say, hey, listen, maybe there's different perspectives on all of this, and the fact, and again, I just saw it. Kyle brings up a great point. He says the fact that we spent 15 minutes talking about it is why it was a huge success, and I do think that yes, there's no such thing as bad press, right? It's all good press, whether it's from a
I
production
guess.
standpoint, right? From a production standpoint, from an entertainment standpoint, I think is where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Did it hit?
No.
No. It's supposed to be a stadium show, and they ended up trying to just recreate a MTV music video.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, that's what happened. So it's from that standpoint, it missed. But I do think from other perspectives, it was a huge hit. So yeah, I can't wait for next year's.
Yeah, and that's what leads us to it. And honestly, give me that pop-up video. I would have had a little bit more of what's going on. Like, give me that blurb, like what's
Right.
happening. But we'll end the show on this one. Who should be the next time show? If you had to pick, give me some names, whether it's one name, two names, whatever names. Like, what are you thinking? Anybody that you would love to see out there?
Oh, God. Right off the top of my head, SideQuest, who also will be playing Friday, February 13th at the Seneca Street Brewery, going on at 8 o'clock, playing from 8 to midnight. So make sure if you're in the central New York area, get over there. But yeah, SideQuest would be great. That's a huge hit. I know that they're busy. Anybody else?
All right.
I do think
Let's
ultimately
see.
it's got to be Chris Stapleton. Would be huge.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that would fall flat. I think because he phenomenal voice. I don't think he's the entertainer that I would look for. I don't. I think Black Keys
I think Nate's
Hanson.
gaslighting us.
AC/DC would be I don't know if they're I'm guessing they're still around.
Oh yeah,
I
they
don't
had the
know.
Rolling Stones on.
See that kind of felt dead to
But
me, but that was back in the day. I didn't love
yeah.
it. I know a lot of people did love it. And I'm not the music guy, so I don't know who's even hot. I know my kids like, and they like just randomness. They like Katy Perry, which is funny. And that honestly, that started literally a few days ago or I guess a week or so ago when I showed them the Katy Perry halftime show because it was in my top 10. And then my little one's like, I love the Lion. And I'm like, cool story. I hated that one. It wasn't
I'll tell
great.
you what, and I don't. This is so. Thank God I haven't seen Joe's name because this is so
I haven't seen
chalky
Joe
of me
either.
to say. So when he watches this later, Yeah, Joe, I was thinking of you. Taylor Swift halftime show would absolutely send the ratings through the roof.
It would crush.
And I think
it'd be
that
the biggest numbers ever.
And I think if we're going off a game script, this was the kind of boom, international global reach. Then if you can get Swift for next year and lock that down, dude,
it would boom.
Everything changes.
And you want to talk about like having the conversation, it would be triple, if not quadruple the conversations that are already being had. Like, and if do yourself a favor, I'm not a Swiftie. My kids don't even, they like, my oldest likes Swift still. The youngest is like, whatever. But what I did is I watched the last documentary of her. I can't remember what it was, but I was hooked. Like the preparation that goes into her shows was like, I was like, oh my, all right, I feel you. Like that would be phenomenal of her doing that. I think she would put on a good performance because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something different. Like push the limits, do something crazy. I think it would be pretty cool. But something that I think would work is if Swift came out, she'd probably want to do it all herself because that's just what she does. But you know who would be great to join her would be Chris Stapleton because she could give the high energy and then the Tennessee whiskey come in to kind of like bring it down just to sit it right back up before you get out. I think that would be that'd be a good pairing, or just have Chris Stapleton singing anything is phenomenal. He has a beautiful voice. I just need energy for those shows. That's all I ask for, is some energy.
Yeah, and keep the stadium crowd who paid $3,000 for the cheap seats.
Right.
Keep them engaged. If I paid $3,000 for a ticket to a football game and the halftime show was supposed to entertain me and I got what happened last night, yeah, that's
not good.
No.
And respect and repeat says bring back Justin Timberlake. Like I love JT. He's from my hometown, but bro, he isn't like us anymore. And his concert, he tried very much like Bad Bunny, but in a different way. Like he tried to make it different. He tried to do the whole mini sets and get into the crowd and kind of stuff like that. And his halftime show wasn't good. Like it just wasn't. And it fell flat for me. The Janet Jackson one, now he had a spot in that one, and he was good because of Janet Jackson, not because of his performance.
Well, he was also
a different spot.
He was also the hand that grabbed.
Yeah, exactly. So Boom Boom says Luke Combs. I'd be fine with Luke Combs, but he would definitely, I don't think he would play to the masses as much either. Like you need the R&B, the hip hop, a little bit of soul, some flavor like that. But in the end of the day,
some Latin music.
Yeah, some Latin music. All right, that's all we got. Looks like we already have shots happening here, and the Switzerland already has had a few shots on goal. All right,
yeah.
All right. So is it Switzerland against who?
The U.S.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so let's go watch some women's hockey. We'll get out of here.
All right.
All right. Well, that's going to be all we have today. Thank you for hanging out with us. This is a very, very long show. Did not expect to go 20 minutes talking about the halftime show.
Great conversation, though.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're able to have these conversations and not feel a certain way, whether we're black, white, or whatever. Like we're able to have the conversations that are honestly about the topic and not have to go a certain direction, because in the end of the day, I love asking questions. I love digging into topics, and I love breaking things down and seeing somebody else's side. I'm cool with being wrong. I just need to have my conversation and my voice heard so I can find out if I'm really wrong or if you might be wrong and you're just not listening to me. Either way.
Your wife doesn't watch the show, does she?
Oh, she's already mad at me. Just in general life.
That's
a whole other topic.
Don't ever admit that.
No, I enjoy the conversations, and I ask sometimes too many questions and think through stuff way too much. But anyway, thank you all for hanging out with us. It's been a blessing. Hope you all are having a great Monday. We'll try to keep these a little bit shorter as we go throughout the week. But now we move on and pivot straight from NFL to whatever else is out there. We'll get in some NBA, some NCAA, hockey, the Olympics. We'll get into all.
MLB is right around the corner.
Ooh, yeah. Pitchers, catchers. They report very soon. We'll see everybody tomorrow.